I just wanted to see, what I would come across. And a lot of people have come across some gnarly pictures of him, like, holding little girls. Like, there ain't no damn excuse for you to have your hands on around a little girl. There's no reason for her to be sitting in your lap unless it's your own child. Like, so I'm already grossed out by a lot of the pictures, but people are covering those. But I haven't seen anyone cover this one picture. And the reason this picture struck me is because, as you can see, Epstein is colored green. It looks like maybe someone sat with this picture and colored him green with a marker. But as you can see, it's only him that's colored green.
That video came from Elegant Eve 1984, and I found that photo to be very interesting because there was a woman, Juliet Bryant, who said she did indeed see Jeffrey shapeshift. She was quoted as saying, "I saw him shapeshift in the bedroom." The interviewer asked her what she meant by that, and she continued to say, "Well, when I was in the bedroom with him, because he used to take me into a small bedroom, and it was always dark and really cold, and then it was almost like when he was releasing or something, I looked at him and suddenly his face grew big like this, and then I saw these huge black eyes like this, then a big mouth with this horrible tongue, and like this sort of dragon horn stuff, which it was almost like the devil." When she said that his mouth grew really big, it reminded me of this painting that was found in his home of a man smiling, but look at his mouth, look how big his mouth happens to be. And for whatever reason, this painting reminds me of what they said demon face syndrome looks like, with the large eyes and the really large mouth. Demon face syndrome, which if you did not know, they now call dragon face syndrome, interestingly enough. He and others that participated with him are very sick, evil, and twisted individuals, and I can definitely see them being something other than human, because he was very obsessed with DNA, cloning, eugenics. This reminds me of this photo right here of Bill and Hillary Clinton, and this photo is very, very old, years old. And I remember when this came out, news and media, they were trying to debunk it, saying that it was just a glitch of the camera. What is even more bizarre is that you can barely find this photo on the internet, and those articles that came out about debunking this, you can no longer find them either. News and media, again, they never said it was fake, they always just said it was a glitch of the camera, and I always thought that was very, very weird. But it would not surprise me one bit if some or all of these so-called powers that be are reptiles or lizards. I always go back to that Simpsons episode, and the Simpsons always gives us the truth in plain sight, where Homer takes off the mask of the presidents to reveal aliens that look serpent-like. They Live and the Midnight Meat Train are definitely not works of fiction. I cannot understand this next video at all.
An astounding turn of events, the property owner witnesses the vanishing of the two strangers, leaving no trace behind. It's evident that two individuals were present outside, yet they somehow evaporate as the lights are once again activated. The precise mechanics of this occurrence baffle viewers. Given the limited details about this footage, its mystique deepens further. If two strangers were clearly captured on camera, how can their sudden disappearance be accounted for?
So yeah, very bizarre. We saw two people, he saw two people on his surveillance camera. We can see him waving them away, and as soon as he shines a light on them, they disappear. And I don't see anything that's out there that could take the form of a person.
Why do these ones have locks on their mouths? I mean, I've seen dolls before, a lot of them, every time I go and investigate something. But why do these ones have locks on their mouths? And why are they here in the middle of an abandoned amusement park? Is this basically saying, don't talk about what you see here? Is it saying, say nothing, or something happened here where nobody needs to speak about it? This one eludes me. I'm not quite sure why these are here and why they have a lock.
That video came from the real Chris Bez, and I know one thing, I hope he doesn't try to take them down and remove those locks.
Why are UFOs appearing in 700-year-old manuscripts, mate? Is this actually alien ships or one of humanity's biggest cover-ups? Let's check it out. First up, a 12th century manuscript describing a real event from 776 CE. During a siege on a Saxon castle, witnesses saw flaming, shield-like discs hovering in the sky. The objects appeared to start hovering over the top of the church, and the encounter terrified the attackers into immediate retreat. Now, historians say it could be meteors, but the descriptions sound awfully like modern UFO battles that we've heard throughout history. What do you think? Coincidence or a cover-up? Now let's jump to the 19th century Japan. There's an 1825 book retelling the legend of Utsurobun, or Hollow Ship. Fishermen found a round metallic vessel washing ashore, with a beautiful woman inside who spoke an unknown language and clutched a strange box. And there were unknown symbols inscribed inside the vessel itself. The woman wore fine clothes, spoke an unknown language, and clutched a plain wooden box she wouldn't let anybody touch. The vessel contained food, water, and decorated interiors, but no oars or sails. Then, unable to communicate with her specifically, the locals eventually put her back in the vessel and pushed her back out to sea, where she vanished off into the horizon. Now let's jump to the 17th century, Transylvania, a church fresco titled, "Israel, Put Your Hope in the Lord." It shows a domed saucer-like object hovering over a fiery building. Trailing smoke like exhausts, local call it a symbol of divine protection, but UFO hunters see a classic flying saucer. Now this was found painted in a remote Romanian church. Why include this if this wasn't based on something I witnessed? The mystery deepens. Finally, the late 15th century St. Jeremiah's Contemplation, from the Urbanate Bible in the Vatican Museum. St. Jeremiah meditates amid mountains and towns, but in the sky, a glowing round object shoots a straight yellow beam like laser down to Earth. Religious visions or captured UFO tech. Now this Renaissance miniature blends the mystic and the mundane, leaving us to ask, were artists encoding alien sightings for future generations to behold? You let me know down below.
What these ancient people had seen and drawn is just more proof that these things are not aliens, but it's something that has always been here. That video came from the Interstellar Discussion.
Okay, so I just found out there's a whole giant glass world hidden in the Arizona desert that most people don't even know about, and the ones that do barely ever talk about it. Did y'all know about this? This is called Biosphere 2 because supposedly the real Earth is Biosphere 1, and in the 80s there's a billionaire whose name was Ed Bass. He dumped about $150 to $200 million into this project that took about 4 years, that has a rainforest, an ocean, a desert, like the whole deal, pretty much a whole mimic of the real Earth. And they sent people to go live in there for 2 years sealed to see what it would be like to live in a whole new world. Y'all, they locked 8 people up in there for 2 years trying to see how humans could survive in a closed ecosystem like we need on Mars. And at first people thought this was this whole utopian sci-fi breakthrough, but then the oxygen started disappearing, the pollinators started to die out. Quite literally, the people were starving. There was not enough food. People started to break off into teams, barely talking to each other. It went crazy. The crops were failing and people started feeling like they were not being honest about what was going on because this was supposed to be sealed off, but they were supposedly getting oxygen from the outside. Then a lot of theorists started coming out saying that no, this was not failing. This was an experiment to see off-world living being funded by private money way before NASA or anybody else was interested in this. Not just that, there were other theorists who came out and said, no, this isn't even a science experiment at all. This is actually to see how people who are super rich would be able to survive in private bunkers and if they want to separate themselves from the general population. Whether or not any of that is true, something had to have gone down because halfway through the follow-up mission, outside management came through with armed security and shut the whole thing down. To this day, people still argue as to what exactly happened. Why this part of this whole thing is that Biosphere 2 is still very much there to this day. Right now, it's owned by the University of Arizona, and they study climate change as well as ecosystems and how the Earth works instead of supposedly trying to replace it. But it makes you wonder because in the 80s, how do y'all pour $200 million into this, come out with some information, and then just duck off, don't tell anybody else anything, and just shut the whole thing down? That lets me know that they either discovered something or something happened that they followed through elsewhere without disclosing it to the public. But that's just my personal opinion. I have no proof of that. Have y'all even ever heard of Biosphere 2? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you don't know what I'm talking about, save this video, go look into it, come back, let me know what you think. Per usual, this is all alleged. I'm just going based off what I said.
That video came from Tea with Pravi, and yeah, I had absolutely no idea that this place exists. And if we can see something like this above, I wonder what's really going on beneath the ground.
In case you needed another reason why lightning is absolutely terrifying, this is another unusual death. Viewer discretion is advised. This story happened in Piscataway, which is located in New Jersey, and this happened in 1985. This was 17-year-old Jason Finley. Jason was described as a really caring and kind individual, even for a teenager. He was an athlete at school. He was in extremely good shape. He was very, very healthy. And he was looking forward to just life when something truly horrific happened. And it was a mystery. It was May 21st, 1985. Jason took a phone call in his bedroom from his girlfriend. His mother and cousin had seen him literally 4 minutes or so before all of this occurred. Jason was perfectly normal. He was fine. He was happy. No indications of any health issues. That night, there was a very big thunderstorm and a lot of lightning. 4 minutes after they last saw Jason go into his bedroom, his cousin opens his door. Jason was dead. The phone still basically clutched to the side of his head. There were no outward signs of any trauma. His girlfriend was still on the line. She would say that it went silent for a second, then she heard a click or two, and that was it. No response from Jason. Jason's death was an absolute mystery. The coroner would notate that there was some severe inner ear damage, something that didn't really occur naturally. Because of the lightning that happened that night, they were curious. Well, was he somehow struck by lightning? They checked all of the phone lines and the cords and everything. Obviously, this is before we had cell phones. There was no serious damage to any of the cords. And so they were just perplexed. But after several examinations, they determined that the damage in his ear was caused by electrocution. Lightning struck his home or something outside of his home, which then caused an electrical surge to go through all of the wiring. And this would shoot rapidly through the phone line, which would then go right into the phone where he was holding it to his ear. And then it sent an intense bolt into his ear, which then caused a severe rupture of his inner ear. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks before this happened to Jason, the same thing happened to another individual who actually survived. He was on the phone during a lightning storm, and it shocked his ear. But the lightning that struck Jason's home must have been just a lot more severe than that other man. Jason would have died instantly. There was likely no pain or suffering. It's just another absolutely horrifying reason why lightning is the scariest thing on Earth. I am terrified of lightning. In case you needed another reason why...
That video came from Making of a True Crimer, and yeah, that is very creepy. 1 minute you're on the phone, and next thing, you're gone. I have heard some very, very wild stories about lightning and what it can do.